It may seem that I'm late to the party on this one, and I know this has been out for about a month. Smashing Machine. I've just been busy and just doing the other films as well that were coming out, so I do apologise. But today we're going to review Smashing Machine.
Earth, art, man, woman.
So we're looking at Smashing Machine with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who's an absolute legend. He's really built himself. He probably is the modern day Arnie, and it wasn't going to be anybody who could take Arnie's place, but I think The Rock's done really, really well. So this is Benny Safdie. Benny Safdie, recently, who I know, is of Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler. If you haven't seen it, do check it out. A great movie, and Adam Sandler's performance. I've really come around to Adam Sandler of recent. He is a decent actor. He's done some really good work recently. Punch Drunk Love, Uncut Gems, the other stuff. He's got another one coming out. Something Kelly that I'm going to watch. Anyway, getting back to Smashing Machine. The start of it reminds me of Boogie Nights. There was a really nice part of it, was like a bit of a build-up, and it felt very Boogie Nights, and I love Boogie Nights, one of my favourite films. And also, I heard that The Rock also produced on this movie, so really, really impressed. So it starts off as this kind of Boogie Night-esque vision with these camera movements and the music. It was almost, I wouldn't say it was like the beginning of Boogie Nights, but it was part of it that just really encompassed the Boogie Nights vision from Paul Thomas Anderson, which is a great movie. Check it out if you haven't. I watched the documentary before this. It was about an hour and a half documentary, so I was very, very familiar with the story. And what I noticed in the documentary was that it's not as much usually with these stories of a character who's gone really down, like to the depths of the darkest, murkiest world of, drugs, addiction, losing family and friends. This wasn't that story. This was a guy who quickly realized, I'm not doing too well here. I need to sort this out. So really, he was kind of level-headed anyway. So I wasn't expecting, because I knew what was coming with the movie. The first thing we notice is that he's an absolute smashing machine. And you can see that in the documentary. You can see it in the film. I mean, this was pre-UFC days. These guys were the original UFC people. They literally invented UFC. They were the original. And there was a lot less rules back in those days. But what's crazy about the main character is that he's so personable. And even in a documentary, this isn't just acting to say, let's give him a nice side. He actually is a really, really chilled guy. Talks to everybody, chats to anybody, and he's got no animosity towards anybody unless you're a bit of a peanut to him. So he's an absolute smashing machine. So I'm watching the movie. It's going well. It's nice. It's a nice little flow to it. I was surprised I saw Alexander Usyk. I don't know if you're aware of Alexander Usyk. He's a very famous boxer. Well, he's the world champion. He's the unified world champion. He's beat everybody. AJ, Fury. Has he fought Fury? I think he's fought Fury. Yes, he fought Fury and all the big ones. Anyway, watching the film, it's flowing. It's nice. Again, I kind of knew the material, so I knew it wasn't going to go too bad. Dwayne Johnson puts in an absolute stellar performance. It's probably his best performance I've seen. I enjoyed him in Pain and Gain, and I know he can act. He can act, and for a wrestler, that's pretty good. I think maybe he puts in a bit of a performance of. He's an athlete. I know you say wrestling blah blah blah, but he was an athlete. He's obviously pushes himself. I don't know if you've seen his body. He pushes himself, so he kind of put that into his performance. His athleticism, his drive to be a better athlete, etc. So we start to see the conflict between The Rock and Emily Blunt as they're a couple, and I knew of this from the documentary, and it's funny because both of them, they weren't so bad. It wasn't an absolute heroin addicted, no one can contact them, closed doors, etc. It was literally just a bit of conflict with his professionalism. She was getting in a bit of a way of the way, but she was also good for him. And it was small things, but I'm surprised that a film has been made about this. Not in a sense, it's not a waste of a film. Absolutely not. It's a good story to tell, and also especially for the creative reason for UFC. But I wouldn't see it as a massive arc of character where someone's just gone to the depths, because they haven't gone to the depths. He did start, having issues, and he's overcome them. And credit to him, because he overcame them, but it wasn't like he was dragging himself up from the murkiest. Or maybe the film didn't even show that. Maybe the film and the documentary didn't show that. I do like the way the film's filmed. It's, it switches between this kind of docu-style camera close-up in your face and a very human feel long shot. It was, I wouldn't say shaky cam, but it definitely didn't have that fixed 4K element to it. It was very human. The film was very human. It was a great soundtrack. I was Shazamming throughout the movie. If you watch the film, I'm guarantee you will Shazam at one point. Like in the documentary, Mark Kirk, his depths go into drug use, but it doesn't go too deep. As I said, he fights a good fight. His strength of character, not only in muscle, but in character as well. He knows what's important. It's about winning, and that's what the main aim for him is. The film is incredibly accurate to the documentary, and if this is the first time you're seeing the story of Kirk, you will enjoy it very much. However, I've seen the documentary, and it was almost like a like for like. It was almost like a documentary. I guess the film stayed very, very true to its material. Ryan Bader, who's actually a UFC fighter, he plays Mark Coleman, does a brilliant performance in his acting debut. I mean, he's no Kenneth Branagh, but for coming from UFC and then doing a film, he does really, really well. The one thing I will say, is that The Rock's character, when he has issues in the fights, I'm not giving away any spoilers, they could have spent a bit more time on that. They could have made it a little bit more Rocky-esque. I don't mean you have to go ridiculous, Adrian. No, but the fights were over very, very soon, especially the ones where he struggled. And those were the pivotal points of when he started kind of, feeling down and possibly not abusing, but trying to get himself better, etc. And so there were very pivotal points in his life, and I just felt that they could have spent a bit more time on, the way the fight was going, just dramatized it a little bit more. I don't want crazy drama, but these were pivotal points. I found the film just here's a story, here you go. It was lovely. It was a nice flow. So if you watch the documentary and the film itself, you will see that it didn't add too much to it. I think what it's done is just brought a story. I feel this is more of a almost creation of the UFC story rather than a story of a great man. He's an absolutely great man. But I think his friend also, Mark Coleman, was great as well. They were both great stories to tell. These were very, very normal men who was, pre-UFC, trying to get themselves known, battling through physical injuries, etc. And I think this is a story for both of them. So granted, to Mark Kerr, he had to fight some, addiction, etc. And this is the film about his fight against that. But I just feel that Mark Coleman's story was just as important because he was a great, great friend to Mark Kerr. They seem like both great guys. And I think this film should be about both of them, the bit of creation of the UFC. It's nice that they've brought Mark Kerr's story to the forefront, but I think this is also a film about the whole of it, and also where we've got to UFC in these days. And these guys were the absolute originals, and they should be celebrated. And it's good that the films come. But I just say, I don't think it should be just about Mark Kerr as much as he did really, really well, and it seems like he's been doing really well today. Seems to be both of them seem to be one of the nicest guys you've ever seen or you've ever met. Not that I've met them, but if the documentary is accurate and the film's accurate, these are really nice guys. Have you seen the film? Let me know. Like the video, please, and I will see you on the next one. And it won't be as late as this one. I will try to sort that out. Take care, guys. Speak to you soon.
Only about fucking you. Let's fucking go. My big strong man, I love you.